Wanted to thank our great sponsors of this program, Roberts Motors, great members of the community and great sponsors, great supporters of the radio station and great supporters of Business Over Brew. This month on the radio, they had St. Louis radio legend and Big Z afternoon show host The Smash voice their commercial. So I thought in honor of that, I would do my best Smash impersonation and voice the commercial that they're running on the Big Z this month. So here goes. Hey, it's Smash here to tell you about, let me start that over.
Smash here with some smashing deals on new Fords from Roberts Motors Ford. Starts with you texting SMASH to 96300. When you do, you'll get your best and highest trade-in value. You'll see if your deal can be done with zero down. And most importantly, you'll find out if you're approved. You're eyeing a Ford Escape, a new 2020 F-150 pickup. Text SMASH to 96300 for your smashing discount. Roberts Motors Ford in Alton or at robertsmotors.com. Additional texting charges might apply. Check with your mobile service provider.
How was that? Welcome to Business Over Brew. Joining you again from the Speakeasy at the Miller King Law Firm down here in the basement. Beautiful facility that they have. Can't go to our normal host, the Great Rivers Tap and Grill, out at the Best Western Premier right now due to COVID-19 restrictions, but hope to be back there soon. And if you get a chance to check the place out, please do so. Pleased to be joined in this episode by Jeff Carver, longtime owner of Carver's Barbecue. Jeff, how are you today?
All right, I'm just fine, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Carver's Barbecue and how it got started.
Oh, Carver's Barbecue was just kind of a passion of mine, and I was working as a youngster doing printing. I was a printer by trade through J.B. Johnson Center out of Alton High, and had a long career in printing, and got laid off for McDonnell Douglas when Boeing bought them out. And the barbecue had been a passion of mine, and I thought it'd be a good time to pull the trigger and try it out. So.
What year was that?
Well, we opened in '91.
Okay.
So just prior to that, I was doing catering on the weekends, doing different printing jobs, trying to keep my family fed.
Right.
And
when did you move into the current physical location? Was that '91 or was that?
91's when I opened the door for Carver's Barbecue. Prior to that, my wife, at the time, she had a place called the Art House Graphic Design Studio. Mm-hmm. So she was a graphic designer, so that's what her and I had that in common. So for a few years before I opened the barbecue there, for a short time, I did all her printing for her, and what I didn't do, I went out and I just jobbed it out. And then I went and bought a small print shop, moved it in behind there in the building I'm in now. Started doing some small printing, and then decided to open the barbecue and do the pulled pork by the pound. And so I was cooking on that side during the day for a few hours, and then running a printing press on the other side. I was running back and forth until that actually took off.
So before you opened it, obviously you said you had a passion for barbecue. Were you always like the go-to guy in the family or amongst your friends? No.
No, my grandfather was like all old grandfathers. You know, fish fries, frog fries,
right,
squirrel fries, and so I was always one of the grandkids who, I really loved that, you know, to jump in there and be part of that. So I think I just kind of picked up on wanting to cook and feed, you know, by just being with the family. And then my dad's family was from Metropolis, Illinois, just down by Paducah, Kentucky.
Right.
And barbecue was big down there, and Godfrey not so much. But old memories of going to my great-grandmother's house on the Ohio River, walking 3 or 4 blocks over to an old man that cooked out of his garage. He'd start it early in the morning, and sometimes by noon he was sold out. So it was that concept where he cooked it in an old smoker, shredded it, pulled it with an old cut down fork and spoon, and you went in there and you bought it by the pound, and he had it on a sheet of foil. He wrapped it up in foil, threw the foil at you, and then you would bring your baby food jars in, and he'd fill your baby food jars full of his homemade sauce. So that kind of was my memory growing up.
Cool.
And I wanted to I thought, you know, Godfrey doesn't have that, you know, so let's, you know, I lost my job at Mac. I was devastated there, and I thought, you know, what the hell, let's try this.
Talk about that first day of opening up. What were your thoughts, and what do you remember about that?
You know, my local hangout little pub, I'd go down to the ranch house and have a few beers after work and stuff. I made friends with the Van Bakitas family, and Tony Van Bakitas. He just passed away recently, but I guess I was down there talking, you know, over a beer about I'm gonna open this business, and I'm sitting there on the first day, thinking, you know, who in the hell is gonna come in this restaurant? And lo and behold, I look up and Tony Van Bakitis pulls up, walks in, and gives me my first dollar, which is still on the wall today. And he just passed away recently, and right before then, I had him sign and date that dollar. So Tony Van Bakitis from the Ranch House.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, some ups and downs as any business has going forward. What were some of the biggest tribulations in the early years?
It seems like at the time my wife made really good money as a designer, and so it seems like the first 4 or 5 years it was hard to make anything at all. You know, I mean, it seemed like we were doing well, but I was only open till sold out. So I was constantly putting on more meat and selling out, and putting on more meat, and then trying to find a bigger smoker. My smokers were maxed out. So it was like a growth pattern, and it seemed like it took a good 4 years to pull a profit, and it just took time. You know, it took time and getting trust in the community and selling the idea of pulled pork by the pound.
Seems to me, outside looking in, that one of the keys to being a successful restaurant owner would be just kind of knowing how much do you order on this day and how much, you know,
Loss.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, little to no loss. Yeah.
How do you go about that process?
Well, through the years, I started out just doing pulled pork, and you know, now I've got a pretty good sized menu due to the fact that you know, I wanted to bring on an item, but then you have to have a byproduct. So like just recently, you know, I had a lot of scrap for years, you know, trimming down pork butts and ribs and things. So, and I was selling at a discount to like the guys that are deer hunting. I'd sell them a lot of the scrap meat to go into their deer burger, and almost giving it away. And I started doing a thing called the rib burger, which I take all the scraps off the baby backs, the spare ribs, the butts, the pork steaks, all that fat that was going in the trash can. I trim it down and get rid of a lot of the fat still, but all the trimmings of the meat and like 15% of the fat goes right into a burger. And I grind it every week, and I started selling those out front during the pandemic to have a gimmick. And it's another product that I brought on it was going in the trash before. So, and it's a very good product, but it's a byproduct. So that's kind of how that, you know, even our baked potatoes, we started doing fresh baked potatoes every day. And you know, how do you keep up with them without running out all day? So we started doing refrigerating those after 2 hours and making a cheesy potato. So it's a side item, but it's a byproduct.
And then I know you expanded into wings and lots of other stuff too.
Yeah.
Without divulging too much, what are some of the secrets of you know, where'd the sauce recipe come from without telling exactly how you make it?
You know, that back to that Metropolis, Illinois thing.
Okay.
You go up, you put it in the jar. It was a red sauce, but kind of a runny red sauce with a lot of heat. And I remember at the time talking to the old man down there before he died, and he didn't want to give his recipe up, but he didn't mind if we tried to work with it. So I put my mom on it for 3 or 4 years. She played around with the recipe and perfected it, and believe it or not, she's 76 and she still comes in once a week and makes my sauce. I'm kind of waiting to get it bottled, starting the bottling process with that. But
So to have it in stores available?
you know,
or
it's
is that kind of the
eventually
game
I
plan?
think
Yeah.
so. It's, you know, because it's good on the barbecue, but it's also good on the burgers. It's good on potatoes, steaks. It's kind of like just a good all-around shake-on sauce. It's not the real thick, you know,
Sure.
sweet sauce. So
It seems like in the last, maybe this is with everything, but it seems like in the last 10 or 15 years, the barbecue kind of business has kind of blown up. Like it's gotten so much more popular with competitions and things like that. TVs, yeah. So
you know, between social media
Right.
and all these barbecue cook-offs on TV, it's exploded. Then you got all these pellet grills coming out. So without me marketing barbecue at all, I mean, the whole industry is marketing really heavy. And then you've got Salt and Smoke, you got Super Smokers, you've got all these different restaurants coming into St. Louis that were never here before.
Right.
So
Has that been good for you or bad for you?
you would think it'd be bad, but you know, AutoZone and O'Reilly's, and then you've got Home Depot and Lowe's. I mean, so no, I mean, seems like the more barbecue that pops up, whether they make it or not make it, my numbers keep going up.
Right.
You know.
Seemed like the dine-in part of your business had really expanded a bit in recent years, obviously until
Yeah.
COVID. we can't have people on anymore without talking about COVID a little bit. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask maybe kind of a different question of how has that been a positive for your business?
Well, the positive is, I had went through, to be honest, the last few years I went through a separation with my wife, and that was really tough because I was a family business, 35 years of marriage, kids, always had goals, and my life just shot me in the head, just boom.
Right.
And I went through a little phase where trying to decide, where I'm going to go with this, and am I going to run this business by myself? And right through that, I struggled through a couple years of that, and I got my act together and decided, this is definitely what I'm going to do this on my own and go forward. And I was just getting on my feet, and then, COVID hits. Like, well, what the hell else can hit?
Right.
And so I guess with you asking that question, I was already got myself back in line and focused again, and it was a good time to say, hey, I just went through this and made it. I'm not going to let COVID get me. So I went straight to, creating this rib burger idea, and I went and bought 2 of those grills you see at Sam's, the long ones, put them out front. I put the cook right in front of the customer's face. When they walk through the door, boom, in your face, cooking fresh. And we promoted the carryout, the curbside. And to be honest with you, I lost all my catering, because corporate quit catering. I lost I was one of the restaurants that shut completely down the dining room since March. Mm-hmm. And so I lost a lot of income, but fortunately, due to the COVID, I streamlined my business, started cutting corners where I didn't think I could cut them, and my carryout actually tripled for a while. And then we got the PPO from the local banks for our payroll.
Right.
We got Godfrey granted. We had a $10,000 grant from Mike McCormick. Got that through Godfrey. And so we were jamming. And to be honest, just in the last couple months, things have really slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
People, you started seeing the illness right here in our backyard.
Right. Well, I know, heading into this time of year, I know our family numerous times has called on Carver's for catering Christmas Eve meals,
Yeah.
and with fewer get-togethers, smaller get-togethers, that has to have taken a toll.
It does.
Well.
The orders are still coming in, but they're not large.
Right.
This year, I normally do a lot of bone-in turkey breast, and this year I did double the amount of turkey breast because people were, just like you saw on TV, people were buying out all the smaller turkeys because they're having smaller gatherings, and so people were calling me and ordering the smaller turkey breast. So I had a really good Thanksgiving sales. The sales were high.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully the vaccine will become more widely disseminated and things will get back on track a little bit more back to normal for all of us. But wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about your son, who is prevalent in motocross. Talk a little bit about his career and how it's really taken off here the last few years.
Well, it goes back to my dad. My dad raised me at the racetrack. He was hare scramble, enduro, motocross, and just an avid go down to the levee, go to Otterville, and ride every weekend. I spent every weekend at a racetrack, it seemed like. And so I took that on quite a bit, and I rode myself and raced and motocross. And but when my son came along, the first child was a boy, and I stuck him on a bike as soon as I possibly could. And so Jeffrey's been actively riding since 4 years old, and he'll be 30 years old next month. And he's been a professional since he was age 16.
Wow.
So
it's always fun to see our kids succeed. Got to be even a little bit more successful seeing them succeed in something that you got them into and that you enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's unreal. You know how your kids start out in pee-wee, baseball, football, soccer. You want to send them to college. You want them to, you kind of get out of that at a certain age and get a job and be successful. Well, with Jeffrey, he was always good at track and soccer. He was always good at sports, but racing was the main gig, and he was very successful. And then at age 16, he won what they call the Horizon Award. And there's one 16-year-old in the United States wins it every year. It's kind of like, I guess, just like in football, so with college. And
wow.
But he won that award, and my wife and I, Angie, we were like, we still want you to go to school, Well, he tried going to Lewis and Clark for, about a year or so.
He's like, why?
And it just was not working, and I knew it wasn't going to work out.
Right.
As much as I wanted him to, he just come to me and said, Dad, I want to stay on the circuit. I want to race. Mm-hmm. and you know, only the cream of the crop, and every sport makes money. But anyway, he's been on it almost 15 years as a pro. He's done really well, and he's ranked 4th in the United States the last 2 years. So,
well, congratulations on his success, and congratulations on owning and operating a business in the Riverbend community for almost 30 years, I guess now.
Yeah, it'd be 20. We're getting ready to go on 22 years, I think, of actually opening the door.
Actually opening the
door.
So, but so that's quite an accomplishment.
Oh, you know,
anytime you can
since
make it
we're
that
sitting here
long.
having a cold beverage.
Sure.
Right before the pandemic, I was a single man. I knew running my business, and I decided, you know, I want to do alcohol. So went down to Mike McCormick, was asking the board about getting a license. There was no problem at all since I'd had a restaurant for so many years.
Right.
There was no bar scene involved. So anyway, I have I don't have the liquor, but I do have the domestic beers, some simple wines, and until all this kicked off a year ago, I was wanting to go ahead and enhance an outside beer garden. So that's kind of my plans. You know, all this passes through is to get some good outdoor seating going and keep going maybe with some local brews.
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye out for that. Hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later, and be ready to roll by the time the weather gets warmer in the spring. So.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jeff, thanks a lot for coming on. Appreciate it. Enjoyed the visit.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.